Shalom, this is your brother Shamar for the Phoenix Camp. And with that being said, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, Kal Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. And we're going to jump right into the lesson. This is Hebrews 11:24. It says, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. And why did he refuse to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter? Because he understood that he understood that he had to suffer with his people. So he gave up that position, that title, that privilege that was given to him by Pharaoh. And also he understood his identity. He understood who he really is. He was a man of the Lord, and a man of the Lord has to sacrifice and turn away from certain privileges all the privileges of the world sometimes, man. And that's what we're gonna have to do. And well, that's what we're doing. That's what we're gonna have to do that to a greater extent in the times to come. This is Hebrews 11:25. It says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures. Let's get that footnote. The pleasures of sin for a season. So he could have been. He could have stayed there as Pharaoh's son and enjoyed the lavishness and the comforts and the pleasures that were given to a man in that position. But the Lord had a different plan for him. And that's the same way with brothers, man. Brothers came out of the world. They gave up certain things and possessions and comforts in order for them to pursue and excel in this truth. But like I said, it's going to be to a greater extent in the times to come. Because you're going to be called to give up everything. Job, could be family, woman, children, your own life, man. But there's a great reward for all of this, man. There's a great balance for the imbalance. There's a great recompense for the imbalance that we live in right now. And we're gonna just keep on going with this. Let's get Psalms 84:10. So we have made a decision. Well, not us, but the Lord put the Spirit in us to make a decision to suffer for righteousness, man. We chose righteousness through the Spirit and power. Yahweh Shem Shai. The Lord has given us the correct spirit to choose righteousness rather than to dwell in the tents of the wicked, like we're going to read in Psalms 84:10. This is Psalms 84 and 10. It says verse 10. It says, for a day in the courts is better than 1,000. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my power than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. So the Lord put the Spirit on David to want to desire and pursue righteousness. And he wasn't a perfect man, and we aren't perfect men. He had many shortcomings, but yet he was favored by the Lord because he was predestined by the Lord. He had the scripture talk about the sure mercies of David. So the elect are going to have those sure mercies of David, man. We have done many brothers have done wickedness in their in their life as an old man. And that's coming to a new man. We have found favor from the Lord, first and foremost by having the grace of understanding this truth. But it says here that he rather be a day in the courts better than 1,000. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my power than dwell in the tent of wickedness. He'd rather be on the lowest estate, in the lowest dormant in the kingdom than to dwell in the tent of the wicked. That same thing with Pharaoh, man. He made the decision to give up his position and privilege to suffer for his people. And that's what we're called to do. Let's get Romans 5:3. And there's a glory in that. There's a honor in that, man. There's an honor in standing your ground. There's an honor in drawing a line in the sand and not moving, man. There's an honor in that. There's an honor that the Most High is pleased with. You know, and if you go and if you go watch these movies about these heroes and such, that's what they basically what it is. The movies glorify a man that stands his ground, a man that goes against all odds. So let's get our Romans. So we're called to be the superheroes of the earth, man. We're called to live the life of a superhero, meaning a life where a man stands his ground in the face of all obstacles and circumstances. That's a true hero, man. Let's get Romans 5:3. It says, not only so, but we glory in tribulations. No, we're called to live the life of a hero. Also knowing that in tribulation work is patience, and patience experience. See that? Suffering brings force, and that word patience, it goes into suffering. If I'm not mistaken, let's go ahead and get it in the Strongs. Steadfastness, constancy, endurance. In the New Testament, characteristic of a man who is not swerved from his deliberate purpose. See that? That's called suffering. Some people call that suffering. And is loyal to faith and piety by even the greatest trials and sufferings. Patiently, steadfastly, a patient, steadfast, waiting for a patient, enduring, sustaining perseverance. So there's a glory in that, man. There's a glory in patience. There's a glory in tribulation. There's a glory in standing your ground above all, man. Let's get that word, that patience definition again, man. Because it sounds beautiful. See, in the New Testament, the characteristic of a man who was not swerved from a deliberate purpose. So, that's a hero right there, man. And his loyalty to faith and piety by even the greatest trials and sufferings. Because the greatest trials and sufferings, known as Jacob's trouble, are going to come upon America, and it's going to affect the men of the Lord. So we have to glory in that, man. That's where our glory is going to come from. That's where the Lord's gonna be the most pleased with us. That's why the Lord's gonna give us glory. Most High willing we be those men. For standing strong in that trial, for being a real man. You know, so this is all. Think of the end game, man. You know, we're working for the penny. You know, think of the penny. Think of the prize that's set before you. But in the process of doing so, you're gonna have to catch a lot of hell and take a lot of L's. Let's get Colossians 1:24. It continues on with the same theme. Colossians 1:24, and it says, "Who now rejoice in my sufferings for you." I'll just start in verse 23. It says, "If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled." You know, because that's how it got to be. You have to be firmly established in His faith, man. A firm foundation, a sure foundation. And be not moved away from the hope of the gospel. And we just read that definition of the word patience, which basically, aligns with this. Which ye have heard and which was preached to every creature was under heaven. Wherefore I, Paul, am made a minister, who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions behind the afflictions of Yahushua in my flesh for His body's sake, which is the church. Wherefore I made a minister according to the dispensation of Yahweh is given to me for you to fulfill the word of the Most High. You know, so that's what it is. He said to rejoice in His sufferings, man. You know, because He knew that there was a glory in it. He knew that there was an honor in it. Let's get 2 Thessalonians 1:4. It says, outside of verse 3, it says, "We are bound to thank Yahweh always for you, brethren. It is meet, because that your faith grows exceedingly in the charity of every one of you, all toward each other aboundeth, so that we ourselves glory in you in the churches of Yahweh for your patience, suffering, and faith in all your persecution, tribulation that ye endure, which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of Yahweh." So that's a token of the Lord dealing with you, man. You know, you catching hell it's a token of the Lord dealing with you. Let's get that word token. Evidence. You know, saying it's proof that you may be kind of worthy of the kingdom of Yahweh, for which ye also suffer. So suffering goes with obtaining the kingdom. Verse 6, "Since seeing is a righteous thing, with Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So for the imbalances that we live in our day-to-day life, the unfairness that we live in our day-to-day life, for us being men of the Lord, for us standing strong, for us enduring and suffering the things that we do, there is going to be a payback for all of this, man. So all those that wronged you, all those imbalances and unfairness that afflicted you, the Lord's gonna give a payback for all this, man. But it's a righteous thing. It's a righteous thing for Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. It's righteous in the eyes of the Most High to destroy our enemies. You know, so we talk about offend not my little ones. So take comfort in that, man. You know, take comfort in that. This is Matthew 18:6. But this is the words of Yahushua, the words in red. It says, but whoso shall offend, let's get that word offend, the footnote, cause to sin, or do something against, to put a stumbling block or impediment in the way upon which another may trip or fall, entice to sin. You know, it's basically, you know, trying to fuck with you. It says, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, and we are those little ones, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, they were drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe unto the world because of his offenses, but for it must needs be that offenses come. So the things that we're seeing in the world, that's a necessity. You know, like the other Kabbalah always says, you know, speaking of one of the elders, Abba Bivens, I think it is, or one of them, I can't remember exactly. The teacher, the elder, always said that in order to appreciate righteousness, we have to live through wickedness, which makes all the sense in the world, man. It says, woe unto the world because offenses for must needs be the offenses come, but woe to the man by whom the offense cometh, Salakia. And then it goes into whatever's holding you back, basically. You know, you cut it off. But let's get Isaiah 49:26, because this talks about, once again, the recompense for those that trouble us. Salak. So there's gonna be everything's gonna be all right in the end, man.